Hi there. We wanted to share with you updates to Clarisights table widget coming in May 2025. Broadly, there are 3 new updates. Firstly, breakdowns have moved. New breakdown options are now available. And how sorting works has changed inside Clarisights. Let's dive right in. In the old version of Clarisights, you had a separate button for breakdowns in the table widget to choose what dimension to break down the performance by for each row. Breakdowns allowed you to segment each row of the table with another dimension to add a new level of granularity or just a new level of segmentation. For example, if I wanted to see how we are spending on our paid social campaigns across the different countries where we're investing, I could use country as a breakdown to expand this performance of paid social into the countries where we are currently advertising. Fundamentally, breakdowns have not changed, but they have moved into the dimension section in the new version of Clarisights. In the new version of Clarisights, breakdowns appear under dimensions to signify that these are specifically dimensional breakdowns. So you go into the dimension section and choose the breakdowns that you would want to apply. There are a few new options that you now have available inside breakdowns, and we'll dive into each one of them one by one. The very first one is that you do have the option to select the number of values that you would want to display. For example, when I select the country breakdown here in the new version of Clarisights, I can choose to show by default a maximum of 50 values, or let's say I'm only interested in the top or bottom performers and I only want to see a few of them. I can select 5 and choose to group the rest into others. Let's see what this looks like. Now when I expand universal app campaigns, I would only see the 5 values here and everything else grouped into others. Now, if I want to change this, I can come into breakdowns and change the number of values to display, or whether I want to show the other section or not. You have the option to do that here. That covers the first update, which is the number of values to display. The second new feature that you have now available is to select specific values. For example, you're not interested in just the top or the bottom 10 or top or bottom 5 in case of countries. Let's say you only want to view specific countries. For example, let's say I want to break down performance of universal app campaigns and other marketing channels by country, but specifically focus on Germany and Austria and combine the rest into others. That changes how the data is visualized, and now you see only Germany and Austria and everything else grouped into others for every single marketing channel. This makes it easy for you to compare how Germany is doing across different marketing channels, across the different KPIs. Of course, when you are using manual values that you would want to display, you can choose the order in which that they are displayed as well by changing the order here. Let's say I do want to see Czech Republic, Germany, and Austria, but in this order, and combine the rest into others. Others will appear at the bottom at all times. You can see the order is now persisted across all the different breakdowns, so it's easy for you to compare the Czech Republic for universal app campaigns and paid social here in this example. And the last update here on the new breakdown options is the grouping the rest into others. You already saw that here in both of those examples. Regardless of whether you select a preset number of values or manual values, you will always have the option to choose how you want to deal with the rest of the information that's not categorized in the selected way. Those were some of the updates to breakdowns inside Clarisights. The last item that we want to discuss here is sorting. Sorting has had some changes in the new version of Clarisights. Firstly, you can now select individually the sorting for each level of breakdown. For example, in the original widget here, we broke down the performance by country. And let's say I just want to see the top 5 values. I can choose whether I want to see the top 5 or the bottom 5 and by which metric from the sort modal here. I can choose to sort all of our rows by, let's say, spend, when you change the primary sort, automatically the sorting for the rest of the levels of the breakdown or change into whatever you choose as a primary sort, so that you see all of the performance sorted in an uniform way. Of course, if you would want to change this, you can. You can, for example, say I want to see the countries that we are spending the highest on, but I want to order our marketing channels by where we are getting the most number of acquisitions. You can choose MTA acquisitions as your primary sort and sort the countries by ad spend. And this changes the order of the sorting for just the breakdown rows. The primary sort still remains to be acquisitions. The last update in case of sorting that has changed is how it behaves when you have selected specific values to display inside the breakdown. Naturally, when you choose a manual selection, let's say I do only want to see Germany and Austria as country values and combine the rest into others. The order of these values, I can choose to select it manually here. Whether I want to see DE on the top or Austria on the top, I can choose that here. The sort model will not allow you to control the sorting for a manual selection. This is to, of course, ensure that the manual selection that you have made is what you see in every single breakdown. So you will be able to compare Austria with Austria for both of these marketing channels. Those were all the updates that we had for the tables inside Clarisights in the month of May.